So I think Bitcoin is leading the stock market.
Yeah.
Obviously, we just had NVIDIA earnings a few hours ago. They were kind of good. Um, we'll see if the market wanted more out of them in terms of what they were expecting in terms of growth and margins and revenue and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I think Bitcoin leads the stock market. And so what Bitcoin is telling us is, hey, the U.S. government is not printing as much money as we thought they would when Trump got in office. The Treasury General Account has not declined that materially yet. Obviously, there's a debt ceiling dynamics.
Bitcoin Zella stands out with its simplicity and clarity. We've crafted an experience that anyone can dive into, whether you're a crypto expert or just a new to the crypto world. Now, guess who keeps his eye on us? The author of best-selling book Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And we want to take this opportunity and thank all the people who trusted us, and we read every comment. And the best part, it's free. Subscribing now means you will get all new information for free. Don't just follow the trends, stay ahead of them. Subscribe to Bitcoin Zella today and enjoy the new edge. Arthur Hayes reveals his take on the $1 million Bitcoin path, discussing how market corrections near an exhausting point. Let's watch him explain crypto trends and explore potential turning points.
If the Democrats had won the election, yes, they probably would have kept shitting on crypto companies, and that's obviously not good for a lot of people in the United States. However, they would continue printing a lot more money faster than what Donald Trump and the Republicans are doing. Not that I don't think we're going to end up in the same place, but if you take what the Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk, and mimetic Doge Department advisory thing is doing, looking at all the ridiculous things that government agencies are spending, there's obviously a large amount of fraud embedded in sort of the spending patterns of the U.S. government, and that was sort of turbocharged after the COVID debacle. And you can see that the Democrats, at least in the United States, had no intention of reining that back. If anything, they were going to go even harder at spending more and more money, printing money. And you had the Treasury doing it, and you had the Federal Reserve enabling it as well. And so I believe this is in August, and at that point, it was about a 50-50, at least in my mind, a coin toss as to who would win the election. But the Democrats being the party in power, they could use the relevant government agencies to try to inject more liquidity, pump the markets, and get people feeling good on election days, and they would go and vote for the candidate Kamala Harris. Where I don't know if Joe Biden was still in the race at that point. But in any event, I think we've obviously had sort of the Trump pump, and then the realization that the money is not going to be forthcoming as quickly as it would have been if it had been a Democrat in power, because not only would they have the Treasury under their control, they would also have the Federal Reserve, because Jerome Powell and some of the Fed governors have been very vocal about their distaste for Donald Trump. And now all of a sudden, Jerome Powell has found his hawkish inflation fighting credentials when he was cutting rates in September of 2024 right before the election, when the U.S. economy was doing just fine and inflation was bottoming, if not re-accelerating. So I think it's a very curious stance that the federal chairman has now all of a sudden because Donald Trump is in office. All that is to say that I think the Democrats would have printed more money faster, and the Bitcoin price would be higher than it is today. Kamala Harris is in office.
Analysts are predicting an epic rally for Bitcoin as the U.S. dollar weakens and global liquidity booms. With rising money supply and a shift in risk appetite, investors are excited about the potential for a strong crypto bull run. Recent market volatility has set the stage for a surge in digital assets. A possible U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve, announced by President Trump, is adding to the optimism. Stocks and cryptocurrencies alike are rebounding, fueled by favorable economic conditions and a recovering global outlook. Technical indicators support this bullish sentiment. Andrew Dragos from Bitwise expects the global money supply to hit new highs, creating the perfect environment for Bitcoin to climb. Colin Talks Crypto is monitoring the M2 money supply, noting that past bull runs have coincided with increased liquidity. As the U.S. dollar index nears a critical level, Bitcoin looks poised for another upward move. Industry voices like Anthony Pompliano are confident that a national reserve plan is on the horizon. With these positive signals and growing institutional interest, Bitcoin and altcoins might be remarkably gearing up for a rally in coming weeks. The market appears ready for an epic transformation as liquidity drives new era of digital asset growth.
It's an open question whether Donald Trump can get his first spending bill passed. I know it's passed the sort of preliminary House committee, and now it'll have to go for a vote in the House and the Senate, and it'll be interesting to see if the recalcitrant Republicans were like to claim that they care about fiscal responsibility, pipe up and sort of torpedo this bill, and then Donald Trump can't spend any money. So you have, and then also you have the Elon Musk and Doge funding all the fraud in the U.S. government spending. How big that is, we don't know. It could be as high as 1 to 2 trillion. It could be as low as 200 billion. Again, if that money is basically not spent, that's cash that's not getting into the hands of people in the American economy, whether they deserve it or not is not the point. They buy stuff with it, whether it's financial assets, whether it's a new car, a washing machine, go on vacation, whatever. They spend money, there's a money multiplier on it. And that money, if it's not being spent, then that reduces liquidity and Bitcoin will suffer, and so will the stock market. If people, I know your listeners and viewers are quite attuned to the geopolitics and economics, the U.S. government is about 25% of nominal GDP in the United States. So it is the outperformance of the U.S. economy over the past 2 to 3 years is primarily predicated on the U.S. government spending money. And so if the U.S. government's not going to spend as much money, because either Donald Trump cannot, because he can't get a spending bill passed, or Elon is cutting waste out of the government and they're not replacing it with new spending, and that's going to negatively impact risk assets, negatively impact U.S. GDP. And therefore, I think Bitcoin is telling us that there is a severe stock market correction on the horizon, unless, of course, that spending re-accelerates. So that's sort of where I'm at in this sort of mindset. And we're at 85,000. Could we go to 75? Possibly, but I think we're nearing sort of the exhaustion point of this corrective pattern before we sort of go sideways for a bit and go higher. I mean, who knows? At the end of the day, I guess look at the liquidity at the end of the day. That's my sort of North Star. And China's not printing money because they're sort of holding back their bazooka to see what sort of trade agreement they come to with the U.S. The BOJ said they're going to start tapering purchases of bonds. We'll see if that's actually the case. But dollar yen is strengthening, which is liquidity negative globally. And then you have the United States, which is sort of like a wait and see. The Fed is antagonistic towards Trump, so they're not going to help him out by lowering the price of money or increasing the quantity. And then you have sort of this spending, whether he's going to get a spending bill passed or whether Elon is going to cut enough money out of the government budget and they're not going to replace it with new spending.
Okay. I want to talk about your $1 million outlook. Now that Trump is in office, the Democrats aren't. What could potentially take Bitcoin 10x to $1 million, which is the next big round number that people are looking forward to?
So at the end of the day, Trump and every other major political force around the world is preaching localism, nationalism, my country first. We're not going to rely on a global supply chain of products because, pandemic happened or we're at a fight with the other side. Therefore, we need to build things locally. And obviously, everyone replicates the same productive capacity that is inflationary. And it requires a lot of money because everyone essentially outsourced their productive capacity to China, which is extremely efficient at it. But now I'm going to rebuild it in my more expensive, less populated country, mostly in the United States and Western Europe. So this requires a huge amount of capital, and the private savings market doesn't have the money. It's all the foreigners who have the money. And the foreigners, China and Japan, Saudi Arabia, oil exporters, obviously don't want to basically fund people that hate them or consider them strategic competitors or whatever euphemism you want to call it, to rebuild their infrastructure. So that savings is not going to be provided to the U.S.
Bitcoin has been on an upward trend today, rising for the third consecutive session. On Thursday, March 6, 2025, the price of Bitcoin reached $91,264, rebounding from a 20% slump experienced in February. The recovery comes as a result of renewed institutional buying and easing geopolitical tensions, which have boosted market confidence. Technical signals also played a crucial role. Two hammer patterns appeared on the daily chart, one on February 28 when Bitcoin briefly fell below $80,000, and another on March 4 as the price tested the 200 EMA. These buy signals indicated strong rejection of lower levels and suggested that buyers were stepping in to accumulate the digital asset. This positive momentum coincides with a general recovery in global markets. Easing trade tensions and a weakening U.S. dollar have helped create a more favorable environment for risk assets like Bitcoin. Institutional investors are increasingly confident, and their actions are contributing to a more stable technical outlook. With Bitcoin now consolidating between $90,000 and $92,000, many analysts see potential for further gains. Some forecasts predict that if current conditions persist, Bitcoin could head towards the $108,000–$109,000 range, representing a substantial upside. Market participants remain cautious but hopeful, closely monitoring technical indicators and macroeconomic developments. The convergence of improved sentiment, technical buy signals, and supportive market fundamentals has set the stage for Bitcoin's continued ascent. Experts believe that this rally may mark the beginning of a sustained upward trend, encouraging investors to watch closely as Bitcoin's momentum builds further incredibly bullish. And do not forget to subscribe to Bitcoin Zella. The most important news will reach your inbox on a daily basis and for free. I do not know why you have not subscribed yet. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more daily updates. Remember, knowledge is power, and we're here to empower you on your financial journey. Until next time, happy investing.